We are the women of Africa, changing the narrative. At a time when one's thoughts are just a tweet away, not telling our story does not mean that the story goes untold. Our shrinking from the world or playing small does not serve us, our continent, or the world.
But gender equality should not just be spelled out in terms of the law. That's theoretical. What does it mean in practical terms? It means women must be seen to hold posts that used to be to be regarded as posts for men, and to be paid equal salaries, whereas in the past they were being paid inferior salaries merely because they are women, even though they were doing the same jobs as men. Similarly, in terms of our structures, governing structures, we had men dominating. We still have men dominating certain structures, but we now have women who have ascended, to levels of governance in those structures that previously were exclusively held by men. The status of the woman in Africa has definitely risen.
We expect people from other parts of the world to come and tell us what is happening to us. We as Africans and African women have to tell our story. When we tell our stories, I think for me that's the lesson I have learned. But we have to provide the lead. We have to take ownership of that narrative. We have to take responsibility. And we have to let people know who we are, where we come from, and what are the progress that we have made.
Our role on the continent cannot be underestimated or ignored.
Pan-African Women's Organization, PAWO, was established a year before OAU was born. So the women have been leading. The women have been trailblazers in Africa. But who knows about it? Who is talking about it? Not many people. So for me personally, I feel now is the time that we take our center stage as women and we make the world know our contribution to Africa and to development.
Young Women has always seen their responsibility to African women because, African women started UNIFEM. It's because African women went to the Mexico conference and African women chaired the committee that came up with what was to be done for women. And from UNIFEM, we've come to UN Women.
You look at how women have occupied a space as elected representatives in leadership. Look at Rwanda, 64% of women in parliament. Look at South Africa. South Africa has 50% plus in parliament. Women are serving in executives and they hold portfolios that are considered quite serious. You have a situation where there are more women foreign ministers now. Central bankers, up to 2015, the majority of women central bankers came from Southern Africa. And if you look at how they managed it, look at the central bank of Botswana. You look at the way in which Botswana's economy is being handled, you can't question that. You look at the finance ministers on the continent, so of course women can hold their own.
We are involved in every sphere of development, from politics, peacekeeping, business, agriculture, social development, education, the arts, and in many other fields, our representation in politics continues to grow as we actively participate in the governance of our continent.
I consider myself lucky to have been appointed as a member of the 50 committee that drafted the Constitution in 2013. I think there is consensus that the article on women, Article 11 in the Constitution, is a big step forward. I'm a believer in the function of law and in the role of law in pushing society forward. So what's happened with the Constitution, I think, is that it has empowered women activists with a tool, with a very powerful weapon actually, to challenge state institutions when there is a violation.
On ne peut pas continuer à se servir des femmes pendant les élections pour qu'elles puissent chanter et danser, pour qu'elles puissent mener campagne auprès des populations et qu'à l'arrivée, on ne puisse pas retrouver ces femmes. C'est un problème et je pense qu'il faut le résoudre.
We are strong, skilled leaders who bring intrinsic value to outcomes on our continent. History bears evidence of our contribution to the world, and now is the time to come into our own and lead in telling our story.
We need very serious mindset change in Africa across the board about many things. The first mindset change that has to take place is the mindset change that we are poor. There are institutions that have fed Africa consistently with that menu. Africa is poor. Africa is not poor. Africa is one of the richest continents in the world. The second mindset change we need in Africa is that we have to get women to accept to take power. We have been so indoctrinated about not being powerful and not taking power. We have to be willing to move into positions. We have to see vacancies where they exist and just slide into them. We have to go there.
Women are, like all the time in this kind of cage, or people are trying to put them in this cage that is sometimes called religion, sometimes called tradition, sometimes called marriage, whatever. I think women are getting a way out of these cages, some of them through education, sometimes through pain. When they suffer a lot, they just break the cage and go out, because maybe outside the cage they will find not only freedom but also security. So I think that it doesn't work anymore, this cage game with the women.
I believe that women in Africa have and can change the world.
African women are leaders and innovators. They are builders of peace and of economic growth. It's time now for us to show all of this. African leaders and the African Union Commission have shown their commitment to this cause by dedicating 2015 as the AU Year of Women's Empowerment and Development towards Agenda 2063.
For me, Africa is capable of its regeneration. It's capable of its renaissance. And I think it's possible. And I want to just say to all Africans, it's possible to create a prosperous Africa at peace with itself.